start our time together. So welcome, Texas Power Up again. Probably our 201. We have a great Power Up today. It's the first one of August, which I don't even know how the time has flown by like this. We have 18 weeks of the year. So that's what that means, right? And so when we have 18 weeks left in the year, it's go time. So 18 weeks to pen and close a client this year. So without wasting any time, let's start with shout outs and gratitude and get this morning started. If you click that emoji button at the bottom and you click raise your hand, then I know that I need to call on you because you have something to share this morning. While you're finding your shout out this morning or your gratitude, I'm going to shout out Jose in Austin. He closed 4 clients last month. This is his 10th month in business with us and he's closed 9. So super proud of how he's just showing up, right? Like everything is on the other side of, hard work and plugging in. So I want to shout out Jose. And then Esther in Houston, I saw that she penned a $445,000 Brevity lead this week. Those leads are always amazing. It just takes seeing somebody actually do something with them. For the rest of us to believe in them. So $445,000 is a lot of good money to bring in, right? Casey, I see your hand. Good morning.
Yeah. So I want to shout out a couple of folks. So Joseph Madrid here in Austin has been stepping it up as a mentor here to some of our newer agents. And he set a listing appointment and went on it yesterday. And maybe has a great investor opportunity for a lot of us. So more on that later. And then I also want to shout out Colton. I can't say his last name, but Colton, I'll get it down, I promise, man. But he got a buyer rep signed on day 1 yesterday. So that was pretty cool too. He dug into his sphere and made those calls count. And one of them raised their hand and said they want to get going with us. So excited for both of those guys.
Oh, I love that. I love sphere calls. I know everyone has different opinions on probably every lead gen lever. Like if Jordan was to ask her team or Suris asked her team or Laura asked her team, I mean, everybody's got an opinion on everything. I probably have an opinion on everything. But man, people who know you and like you and trust you, it's hard to like not want to call those people. Like, oof, man, you're missing out if you're not reaching out to those folks. So nice. I love that. Let's switch gears then. Get into our topic for today. Who made at least one expired call this week? Anybody? All right. I see the normal killers. I see you. I love that. Okay. Who set at least one appointment from expired or withdrawn calls? Okay, so then it sounds like this topic is going to be just perfect. There weren't as many hands that went up. So today we are talking to Jim Rosales, and the reason we're talking to him is we were laughing back and forth yesterday. I was like, how do you want me to introduce you? Like King of El Paso, expired extraordinaire. What do you want? And he's like, I like the sound of expired extraordinaire. And I love this guy. He was a panelist a few weeks ago for us on one of our calls, and I loved where he was going with it. And I thought, man, we should hear the entire full class that he's got on this. And so he is such a nice guy. He agreed to do that for us. So what he's sharing, it might be 100% brand new to you, and that's awesome. It also might be 90% of stuff you know, and then the goal is like make those adjustments to get to the next level for yourself, right? It's a lot like Ben always says, if you launch a rocket right now to the moon, I don't even know how many times it has to adjust, thousands of times to actually land on the moon itself, right? And so often we start our careers and then we're like, we got this. I mean, I've been this way, right? I've got it. Yeah, I might have it, but I still need my adjustments. So I'm excited about Jim just pouring into our Texas group this morning. Jim, I'm going to find you on there you are. Can't miss you. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you for everyone.
All right, perfect.
So I'm going to let you have it. You are expired extraordinaire, so it's all you.
Okay,
Thank you so
perfect.
much.
Well, I appreciate you so much and the opportunity. This morning, there was a lot of different challenges, but when it comes to expireds, what I really want to say, I get passionate about it because it's a philosophy. Once you understand how expireds are, it's not a challenge. And a lot of people don't make expired calls because they really believe that it's going to be a struggle, that it's a fight, that it's a challenge. And it's honestly not, right? And I always, like when I talk to the team and before we make our calls, or just as we help anybody in general, it's one of those, if you saw somebody that was walking out into the street and they were going to get plowed by a bus, what would you do? You'd yell, you'd scream, you'd do whatever you could to stop that tragedy from happening. Well, that's what an expired is, right? Like it's been on the market for so long. They've had a financial tragedy just because they've been waiting. It's our responsibility, our duty to stand up, to raise our hand, to make contact and to help these people to move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And so you guys should see the slides up right now. It says mastering expired listings, right? You guys see that okay?
Looks amazing.
All right, perfect. Let's move through. So as we're talking, this is what we're going to talk about real fast, because when we're looking at expireds, it's always, everything leads to something else, right? So when we talk about mastering a listing, mastering the expireds, it's not just the phone call, it's the actual consultation, it's the actual servicing of the listing, and then what is our purpose and our objective throughout each phase. So to tell you a little bit about myself, this is kind of our real fast, this is us in a nutshell, right? This is who we are as the PCS team. Chastity is the team leader and rainmaker. She got licensed first, did amazing, great things. She convinced me to get my license. I did. As a husband and wife team, in 2017, we helped 55 families. And then we got MAPS coaching that told us, hey, you could do better as a wife and husband team, because we let natural personalities take over. And you've seen we've just kind of, we've grown from then by letting our natural talents take over. And when we talk about our natural talents, to me, that's expireds. That is what I do really, really well. So Chas handles a lot of great things, but with the expireds, that's kind of my niche. Now let's look at expireds, right? Let's look at where they're coming from and let's talk about their mentality. So if you guys, you could unmute for just a second, tell me about the mentality for an expired. What are they thinking? What are they going through?
It's almost like a bad breakup or a heartache. Like their dreams didn't come true.
All right, what else?
They're salty.
I know somebody started talking, and that kind of overlap, but so somebody keep going, and then we'll keep figuring it out. But what is the mentality? So we've got the breakup. What else?
Yeah, I would
say they feel
stuck,
and they feel like an agent can't help them. They're mad at.
Yeah, an agent can't help them. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, they're frustrated.
They're frustrated. What else?
They're salty.
They're salty, right? So when we take all these things into account, like we know what they're going through, right? So as long as we know what they're going through, you really have all the answers to the test, right? Like imagine if you had a pop quiz, but the day before the teacher said, these are all the answers for you. Well, you know, right? You already know all they're going through. They're frustrated, they're salty, agents can't help. It's a bad breakup, right? They've got this taste in their mouth. So we know these challenges up front. So now we have to go back and we'll just kind of overcome them. Okay, so what are some common objections that you guys believe right now are primary expired objections? Are there any you guys can think of? And I'm going to write these down.
I'm going to relist with the same agent.
Relist with the same agent. I love it. What else?
I'm not selling anymore.
Not selling anymore. All right, what else?
I'm going to sell.
What do you do different? Okay. Anything else?
I'm going to
I'm
sell.
not using an agent anymore.
All right, not using an agent. And then somebody said, I'm going to sell it myself. Anything else?
It's not a good market to sell in.
Not a good market to sell in. Yeah, obviously that's what it was, right? I mean, we're only in like the height of the seller's market, but yeah, sure, we'll go with not a good market to sell. Okay, so again, we're talking the same thing, right? This is you have the keys, you have the answers already in place before the test has even begun. So if you walked into your expireds knowing how to handle, I'm going to relist with the same agent, I'm not selling anymore, what do you do different? I'm not going to use an agent, I'm going to sell it by myself, or this is not a good market. Like if you knew those objections, you would feel much more confident and comfortable in making those calls. And I'm going to kind of show you how do we get through these things, because expireds are amazing. Now, what do you guys think is the best time of day to call sellers, to call these expired listings?
Anytime.
Anytime? Anytime is a good answer. I'm never going to fret and say anytime. Like anytime you can call them is awesome. The best time to call expireds is first thing in the morning, right? So when you think about it, an expired is a transaction. It's very business sense. So when you're looking at, if you've got some tasks to do on your day, and one of them just happens to be sell your house, as soon as you set that appointment, you kind of check that block. You're like, okay, I've done that. The agent who sets the appointment first on an expired is typically the one to get it. Because one of the objections you'll get is, I already set an appointment. I'm already meeting with an agent, right? And a lot of times, unless you know how to handle that objection, you can kind of get stuck too. So expireds are best first thing in the morning, right? Because it's transactional. They want to check the block. They want to take care of that business that they have set. Perfect. And when we talk about mastering the expireds, when we talk about mastering what we're looking for, it's script practice, and then there's role play. And I want to make sure that you always split the two out. Too many times people say, did you do your script practice and role play? And I get it, but they're very separate, distinct items. I'm a big guy about what's my objective? What am I trying to accomplish here? When we're talking about the script practice and mastering the outline, it's the exact same outline you guys have all seen for the expireds. You need to practice and master that script, right? You read it out loud 5 times every day, because I want you to hear it. I want you to hear the words coming out of your mouth and listen to the tonality. I want you to listen to what you're saying. And then I want you to write it down once a day, Monday through Friday for 6 weeks, the exact same script, right? Because success is simple, not easy, right? It's repetition. And as you're doing it for the objective and the purpose of the 3 concepts, right? You want to memorize it so that you can internalize it, and then you can customize it to the client. That's the focus of the script. You master the outline, you master the words. When you role play, your sole focus should be to master the objections. What I want you to understand is not every question is an objection. How did you get my phone number is not an objection. That's a question, right? So don't be confused, and don't think that everything that comes back in this conversation is an objection. Sometimes you're just going to have straight questions, and that's okay. Answer the question. But when we're looking at mastering objections, you want to make sure that you play your salesman technique. We are salespeople. It is what we are. So mirror and matching, build rapport, using your tie downs. Does all that make sense? Yeah, right? And that's what we want to do. Most objections can be handled by helping the client discover and answering one of 3 things. They either need education, they need assurance, or they need problem solving. So even the objections you've given, we decided to relist with our agent. What they need is the assurance that you can help them. They need the education of where you are better than the other agent, right? And there's a number of ways to handle those objections. And then when we have a true objection, when it's a true objection, we know the 5-step formula, right? You repeat the objection, you acknowledge the objection. I get it. You isolate the objection. Other than this, is there any other reason you wouldn't do that? You redirect. Okay, so let's try this out. And then you have a call to action, right? You close out with being able to sign, to move forward, to ask another question. You've closed out the objection handling. Too many times I notice when agents master an objection or they handle an objection, they leave at the end of their sentence, smiling and feeling good about what they've said. But they didn't ask a follow-on question to continue moving forward. They didn't have a call to action to say, are you ready to sign now? Right? They just kind of answered the objection, and then they sit back and wait for the client to say something. That's where you have to be proactive in your approach. I love, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Eddie Van Halen, right? So Eddie Van Halen, amazing guitar player, played for Van Halen. And it's so crazy how some of the things we heard when we were younger manifest and come back into our lives later. I remember an interview Eddie Van Halen had given the Rolling Stones back when I was a kid, right? So I was a kid, I remember this interview, and the guy, the reporter, made a comment like, you are such an amazing guitar player. I wish I could play guitar as well as you. And Eddie just said, you can, right? Like, it's a guitar. It's not rocket science or rocket surgery, however you want to mix those up. It's literally just, it's playing a guitar. If you exercise, if you put that emphasis on it and you practice, you can become a phenomenal guitar player, right? I don't know if you guys have seen CIA, the movie with The Rock, right? He was like this overweight kid in high school, and then Kevin Hart runs him to him later and is like, man, you look great. You're in amazing physical shape. How did you do that? And he was like, I worked out for 6 hours a day, every day for 20 years. Anyone can do it, right? And that's the honest truth. Anyone can do it if you commit to mastering what you're trying, right? So whether it's buyer's agents, whether it's expireds, whether it's FSBOs, when you commit to mastering these activities, you can become the subject matter expert. So let's talk about what this looks like. The objective during your pre-qualification is the yes, it's the appointment. Here is where I want you to be the salesman. And this is where the mind mapping and the tie downs are critical. I want you saying yes, I want you moving forward with this. And we're going to do a real quick mind mapping neurolinguistics exercise. So I don't want you to unmute your mics. You don't have to unmute your mics, but I do want you to play along, okay? I'm going to have you spell 5 words. You are going to spell 5 words. All right, are you guys ready? And do this. Say it out loud. Spell these out loud. Spell hop. Spell pop. Spell cop. Spell mop. Spell top. What do you do at a green light? All right, who said stop? At a green light? Right, okay, no. And that's, I get it, right? But that was neurolinguistics. That was mind mapping. All I did was had you spell 5 words, and then because you were accustomed to the MOP, TOP, POP, stop just came natural. That is the importance of tie downs. And I really want you to understand that. When I talk about the objective being yes, that's where during my mirror and matching, my building rapport and my tie downs, I'm going to say things like, doesn't that make sense? Yes. Don't you want to sell? Yes. Do you love your family? Yes. Oh my God, your dog is so cute. Do you love your dog? Yes. Are you ready to list with me? Yes. Right? That's the neurolinguistics. Now that's a basic sense, but essentially that's how we take the neurolinguistics and bring that into expireds. Your affirmation and mindset is everything. Like I talked about, you have to believe, and especially in this market, you can help this person. Like that is everything that expireds are predicated on right now is if you would just answer the phone, I could help you. If you would answer the phone, our team is going to provide such amazing education, communication, and customer service. You're going to be blown away. I just need you to answer the phone. The affirmation is there. We can do this. As we're talking about the mindset, some of the questions, and we all know the who, what, where, when, and how. Why is not a question to ask at this phase. And the reason is why is a defensive posture question. It doesn't matter what you ask why for. Why requires justification. Now, why questions can be good, right? If you've ever read the book Start With Why, that's exactly why. Because it requires justification. Why are you doing what you do? Why do you want to help somebody? Why are you wanting to make all this money? You should justify those answers. But when you're asking somebody, why are they moving? You don't want that to have a defensive posture. And if you don't think why questions have a defensive posture, ask your kids one day why they didn't take out the trash. And immediately look at their body language, look at their posture, look at the defensive tone they're going to take, because it's a naturally aggressive question, as opposed to saying, what happened that the trash didn't get taken out? And then you might get an explanation, right? So once we know all these things and we roll this all up, and this isn't anything you all haven't heard before, right? This is all the same thing. It's just packaged in one little pack in one little spot for expired listings. So here we go. Are y'all ready? Because this is it. The next one is the secret. This is all there is to it. That's it. This is all of it. This is your script map. Now, the important thing that I want you to realize is that you only have 2 friction points in expired call, right? So if your mentality going into them is that it's a battle the whole way, it's not. You've got 2 friction points. In the very beginning, when you do your introduction and plans, and at the very end, when you say, let's get together. That's it. Once you get past those 2 friction points, the entire conversation is just a conversation. It's the easiest thing possible. Now, the reason I call it a map, and it's not a questionnaire or none of that stuff, the whole purpose is because, as with anything, what did I say my objective was? My objective is to get the appointment. If I call and during my introduction, I say, hey, this is Jim with the PCS team and Keller Williams Realty, and I'm calling because your home was on the market for 184 days and it expired this morning, meaning it's no longer on the market. So I'm just curious, what are your plans for your home? If you say, Jim, I want to sell my house, can you come over today? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set the appointment. Great. So let's get together. How does 5 o'clock sound? All the other information in the middle, I can get later. I can get at the consultation. What I'm not going to do is out-talk myself out of the appointment. So when I do to get together, I'm going to get the most essential information, right? Great. What's the mortgage payoff? What's a good email address for you? And are all the decision makers going to be present? That's really what I need. Everything else, I can get face-to-face when we're there. I'm not going to talk myself out of the appointment. Now, if I have an amazing pre-listing package I can send them, then I'll send them that. And I'll let them know, hey, great, awesome. What's your email address? I'm going to send you a pre-listing package with some information. If you can, take a look at that before we get together this afternoon. That'll make the appointment go a little bit more smoothly. Is that great? Awesome. Appreciate you. That's it, right? Because think about it. If it's a map, and I've got a map here of El Paso going from the east side to the west side. If I was going one way and there was an accident, right? Would I just turn around and go home? No, I'd find another way, right? And if that way was blocked, I'd find another way, right? It's a map. I want to go from 1 to 8, and it doesn't matter how I get there. So some of the objection, like you had said, what do you do differently? Well, that's number 7, right? So throughout the conversation, if I go intro and plans and you say right off the bat, what do you do differently? Okay, awesome. I can go to number 7. Let's talk about, we give you the highest probability to sell your home. As a matter of fact, in the last 6 months that your home was on the market, our team helped 202 families buy or sell their home. Let me tell you a little bit about what makes us different. And then once I'm done with that part of the script, I say, hey, but let me ask you this. If you did sell your home, where were you going? Right? I go back to number 2 because I use it as a map. I want to hit all the points if I can, but the objective is to get together, right? So that's the important part to look at as we're kind of analyzing this. When we say get together, we don't set an appointment, right? Because you set an appointment with your dentist. And while I appreciate my dentist, I don't love my dentist. Who do I get together with? I get together with my buddies, my pals, my friends. We get together, right? It's all part of the rapport building concept that we have. So I'm going to walk this down, and that's exactly how I say it. What I recommend is always have a notepad next to you and write down your objection that stumps you. and it's going to happen. I had one, it kind of stumped me, and I wrote it down just because it was funny. So it was a concept. It was about 2 years ago. So expires, like on the first, we only had 26 expireds. We set 2 appointments out of 26 expireds on the first. Our market is just not feeding us amazingly yet. Now at the height, we were getting 80 expired, 60 expireds a day. We were loving life. I was killing it. This point, we get what we can. So we're still at about 10% on the expireds. But this was about 2 years ago. And I called, and the guy, and I did my intro. Hey, this is Jim with the PCS team and Keller Williams Realty. Reason I'm calling, your home is on the market for 97 days and it expired this morning, meaning it's no longer available on the market. So I'm just curious, what are your plans for the house? And he says, dude, I'm having sex. And I was like, well, why'd you answer the phone? And he was like, I have no idea. So I was like, all right, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. He was like, make it 2. And before we hung up, I said, you know what? You are the kind of person I want to work with. I will call you back. I gave him about 15 minutes, called him back, set the appointment. Amazing guy, amazing person. He's given us so many referrals since then. But it's just like, I'll admit, it was nothing I had planned. There was nothing in front of me that could have ever figured out how to negotiate this, you know, and it really was an objection. I guess I could say it in that sense, you know, but I didn't want to, other than you having sex, is there any other reason you wouldn't want to take this call? No, we weren't going to do that. But it was just like, you will get some of the craziest objections. My kid's throwing up all over themselves, right? Like, okay, my kid just crapped his pants and it's up to the back of his neck. I get it. You have to figure out what's important, what's not. You have to figure out, how are we going to move through? And that's okay. You have the latitude with the script map to figure out what that looks like. I will say, write this one phrase down. I understand. In 30 seconds or less, tell me blank. Because that is what's going to happen. So understand, when you call, these are cold calls. They didn't reach out to you. They didn't do an inquiry. You are calling this person out of the blue. What they don't want is a salesman, even though that's what we are. They don't want to be sold. They don't want to have this tactic employed on them. We are going to do it with our knowledge and our sense of how we speak. So sometimes you are going to get, hey, I've got an appointment coming up. I can't talk right now. I get that. In 30 seconds or less, tell me, if you did sell your home, where were you going to go? Right? What you're going to do is that pattern interrupter. You're going to break that and you're going to get them talking. They either will say, I literally have an appointment, I've got to go, and hang up, or they're going to answer the question. Now, if you notice the way the questions are, I ask about you, your plans. If sold, where would you go? How soon do you want to be there? What do you think stopped your home from selling? How did you pick the last agent? What did you like best about them? What do you think they should have done? Are you planning on interviewing any other agents, right? I'm asking about you, because I really want to understand them. And it's not until I get to my closer that I talk about us. Because all before then, I want to know about them, right? And as we talk about the emotional words, if you sold your home, where would you go? What's waiting for you there? You know, I'd go to Denver. Awesome. What's waiting for you in Denver? That's how I find out their motivation. That's how I find out how strongly their tie is. One of the greatest ones on what's waiting for you there was a gentleman that wanted to move to North Carolina. His father was terminally ill. They'd given him about 2 years to live. He wanted to sell his home, go move with his father, you know, to spend his last years with him. When we get through the market analysis, and the actual price discussion, he had to pay about $4,000 to sell. This was during the, you know, when it was still a buyer's market. He said, Jim, I'm not paying $4,000 to sell my home. I said, I totally get that, Randall. Think about it this way. What would you pay to spend the last 2 years with your dad? And he just sat back and was like, I'd pay the $4,000. I said, great. Let's put your home on the market, right? But we have to know the motivation. And so what's waiting for you there is very powerful, because it's not, or even if it's just a job, right? This is where you got to do your mental math. Is that job coming with a promotion? How much are you missing out on by not moving there? What is waiting for you there? How soon did you want to be there? Wow, that's pretty fast. Have you already spoken to an agent there? Are you looking? Can you help them, right? So understand, it's not a questionnaire. Each thing, each answer that comes back, I want you to dive into that as much as you can until you have no reasonable questions to ask. Once you're out of questions, then you can move on to the next part. What do you think stopped your home from selling? I don't know if you guys ever remember, there used to be the script that was like, how do I give you A+ service, A++ service, A+++, right? Like there was a script that went about that way. The way we like to phrase it is really kind of this. What do you think stopped your home from selling? I want to know what they figured out, because as long as they tell me, well, I'll tell you what stopped. There was no social media presence. Well, right off the, or the you know, the photos were horrible. Whatever it is, whatever they tell me, that's where we know I can provide amazing customer service just by filling that gap. Now, how did you pick the last agent? I will say, is as minor the question seems, it's pretty important, because there will be challenges. How did you pick your last agent? It's my mom. Okay, right? You have to know how to handle that objection. Great, it's your mom. Awesome. Hey, let me explain something about just being a real estate agent, right? So there's two primary paths an agent can take. They can be a buyer's agent or they can be a listing agent. Now, I don't know your mom, and she's probably an amazing buyer's agent. But when it comes to selling your home, that's where we come in, and we're phenomenal at our job. You know what I would love to do? I would love to give your mom a referral for us selling your home. And what I'll do is I'll actually bring her into our process so she can learn what our team does to get homes sold quickly. How does that sound? Right? I'm getting that initial buy-in, because it's important to understand. Now, sometimes you can't. Look, it's my mom. I will not list with anyone else. I get it, right? That's where we'd say then, and I may even at that point, we may call the agent and say, hey, listen, you had the home. We believe we can help with our team and our marketing and our aggressive style. Would you be interested in listing with us as well? Like doing a co-listing, both brokerages on the listing, we'll split it 50-50. What do you think? Right? Sometimes we know how this works solely because with agents, nobody wants to disappoint family. And it's family that is really the most challenging people to work with. And I'm going to tell you why, though. It's challenging to work with family because family knows you. Family knows you at your high points. Family knows you at your low points. Family knows you when you got drunk on New Year's Eve and was puking in the bushes. That's what family thinks about you. Jim? The Jim that was vomiting in the bushes because you overdrank on New Year's, right? That Jim? Family doesn't understand. We read 18 books a year on how to be better people, how to become improved. The family doesn't know that I go to all these seminars and conferences and Zoom meetings on how to be the best real estate agent I can be. My mom, one of the greatest stories was when I first got licensed. My mom, I was in Bold, and you know, Bold, you have to call your family members. So I called my mom, low threat as possible. I was like, I know my mom's not going to hang up on me, right? So I call my mom and I'm like, hey, mom, this is a professional call. I'm calling because I'm in a class and we are having, you know, we have the requirement to make our phone calls. And I want to see if you have any real estate needs or if there's anybody you know of that has a need in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And she was like, yeah, my dentist is going to sell their home. And I broke character. I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me your dentist needed to sell? Like, I'm licensed in Texas. I can help anywhere. I can refer if nothing else. And she's like, no. She's like, mijo, you are the same little boy that buried his Matchbox cars in the sandbox and cried because he couldn't find them. You are the same little boy that crawled up on the roof in your underoos and got stuck up there and cried because you couldn't get down. She's like, here's the thing. I like my dentist. And if you ruin that, I have to find a new dentist because I'm not going to let him talk shit about you. Like, it made perfect sense. I had to literally change the perception that my mom had of me because she saw me as her little boy. She saw me as the troublemaker in school. She saw me as you know, somebody who would make inappropriate jokes at inappropriate times. I had to change my mom's perception of me as a professional in order to be able to help. So when we're looking at these things and we're talking about helping family members, or how do we get into, is the family member an agent? These are all things that we really have to understand. This is what's going on. So how did you pick the last agent? I called them, I Zoomed them, they were on the radio, right? I wanted to know what's going on. It doesn't matter. Part of it, you want to know where clients are looking. What you're going to find is statistically, the majority of them are going to be a referral from someone else. And that's music to your ears. And the reason it's music to your ears, because when you provide amazing customer service, you know what they're going to do? They're going to refer you. And you're going to set the expectation, even when they say that, oh, they were referred to me by a friend. Awesome. Hey, I hope that when we have an amazing transaction and we get your home sold, that you're so satisfied, you refer us. How does that sound? I'm not going to be shy about what I talk about. I'm going to bring these things to the forefront. We're going to talk about everything. What did you like best about them? You know what they did? When they put the sign up, they actually had one of those boxes in the front where they put flyers in. Like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I can tell you guys, we don't do that. That's not something we do. But you know what I'm going to do for this person? I'm going to put the post up that has the flyers, that has them in there, because that is something they enjoy. See, too many times we try to cookie cutter our selling experience. That's not what I do. I'm not going to do it. You're going to have to accept it. I'm sorry, you're helping me sell a $500,000 home and I can't be troubled to put flyers up in a post on the front yard? Like, I just don't get that mentality. We tailor our experiences, but that's also part of us providing an exceptional customer service experience. So what did you like best about them? What do you think they should have done? Right? How could we have taken that experience more? Are you planning on interviewing any other agents? And it's always found this funny because a lot of people don't want to ask this. They don't want to give the idea. I'm absolutely all in on this. Are you planning on interviewing any other agents? We are. Awesome. I would love to have the name of those agents, because many of our past clients who have interviewed other agents found it really helpful when we put a side-by-side comparison together that showed our numbers as opposed to the other agents that they're interviewing. Is that something you would find helpful in making your decision? Beautiful, right? We've already won the battle off that alone. And then last, like I said, so I've asked all these questions, I found out all about them, and now I'm going to tell you again, I give you the highest probability to sell your home. We absolutely do. And the last 30, 60, 90, 120, 14, it doesn't matter. I can tell you how many families our team has helped. And that's the way I say it. It's not about closing homes or anything. It's how many families we've helped, right? So in the last 180 days, we've helped 202 families buy or sell their homes. It's what we do. And then part of that, this is where when we talked about the objections you had, we said it was a breakup. Well, if you've ever been in a breakup, how anxious are you to get into your next relationship? Right? You might be a little hesitant. You might just kind of like, hey, I just got to work on me for a little bit. All that good stuff. I get it. Let me explain what we do. So we actually provide you a risk-free guarantee, right? There's no fees, no penalties if you decide to not work with us. But I want you to love us. My intent and focus is for you to be so amazed by how we're helping you. You're going to shout it from the rooftops, tell all your friends, send us as many referrals as you can. That's our objectives. But if something's not working out, call me. Tell me, hey, Jim, I don't like that this happened. Give me a chance to fix it. If I don't fix it the same day, you can call me back and say, it's just not working out. We're moving in another direction. Again, no fees, no penalties. How does that sound? Right? So I took care of that. And that's the other reason, right? We know objections are, they're questions they have, right? It's clarity that they need. They didn't get understanding on something somewhere along the lines, so it's an objection. So when I'm going through this consultation and I bring up the risk-free guarantee, I've already taken care of that objection. When I bring up the communication guarantee, right? Because I really want you to understand, if a house is on the market for 180 days and it expires, how often do you think that other agent was in contact with them? You're right. Do you think they were communicating very often? Do you think they even heard from him? I mean, it expired. The other agent probably didn't even know that, right? So what do? We have a communication guarantee. Every Tuesday, you're going to get a report from us on the status of what we're doing to get your home sold, right? So I already handled that objection. Our days on market average, right? So the El Paso days on market average is hovering right at about 14 right now because of our amazing market. Our team is at 6 by design, right? So we're already better than the average. The design is probably the same thing you guys know, right? You put the market on Thursday. Thursday night, no showings. Friday, you have some showings. Open house Saturday, Sunday. Collect all the offers on Monday. Tuesday, you're executed. 6 days by design. Perfect. We'll talk about our list price to sales price ratio, right? So even in El Paso right now, I don't know if you guys, so our market, the average list price to sales price ratio is right at about 100.64%. That blows me away. That our market average in El Paso is 100.64. In this insane market, our agents are still not getting significantly above, and that's because they don't know how to price. Our average is 106% more, right? Like we're killing them. Our marketing, this is a beautiful thing. So if you're with the Keller Williams brokerage, you guys, I don't know if you know this, but List Hub syndicates to 356 websites. I love pointing that out, right? And the reason I memorized 356 because it's 365 in a year and you just flip it back, right? So 356. It's the same thing with like square feet on an acre, right? 4356 because it's 3456. You flip the 43. So it's anyway. That's my mnemonic to how I memorize. But we syndicate to 356 websites. That's just the nature of being with the #1 brokerage. Now, if you go with the #2 brokerage here in El Paso, because they don't have any such agreements, they only syndicate to 99 websites. And that's the majority of other brokers. And that includes, and I'm willing to bet it's the same in your market, unless you have somebody that has an agreement. But the Remaxes, the Coldwell Bankers, the Century 21s, the Sotheby's, all them, they don't have the same agreements. So they only syndicate to 99 websites. Our 350-60 gives you 3 times more exposure. And in addition to that marketing, we include social media presence. We're super heavy on social media, right? So I can get your home in front of between 5,000 to 8,000 people over the weekend. Over that 48-hour Saturday, Sunday weekend, I will get your home in front of about 5,000 to 8,000 first-time home buyers because of our demographic targeting that we do through social media campaigns. So we're syndicating to more websites. I'm getting your home in front of as many people as possible. And then the last thing about what makes us different, you're looking at them, right? Me, I am your X factor. I am your proactive approach. We don't sit back and wait on anybody. It's just not in our DNA, right? We are going to be aggressive. And I know some people don't like when I say aggressive, so I'll say proactive. And then at that point, I pause because I'm looking to see their reaction. Some people will say, I want aggressive. Then damn it, I'm aggressive. If you say, I like proactive, I'm proactive, right? I am going to mirror and match. So throughout this, we've kind of had this phone call. We've had the experience of how this script map has gone. And throughout this is really where I'm going throughout. So I've talked about this and then I close it off, right? So we've had all these conversations. We've done all these approaches. And I said, great. So let's get together. How does today at 5 o'clock sound? I know people like to give options. I'm a little bit more direct. How does today at 5 o'clock sound? We've got, I don't get off work till 5:30 and then we got dinner. Great. 7:30 work. I go for same day appointments every time, right? Because if you say, well, how does Thursday look? And you try and go a week later, I'm at the house. I am at the house and I'm getting the commitment to list signed. There's no question about it. So I push same day appointment because it's up to me, right? If I can get in front of you, we know it's over. It's a done deal. And then just the last couple questions. Mortgage payoff, email address, decision makers present. Okay. That's the expired script map in a nutshell. All right. Does anybody have any questions over how this flows? Anything about what we've said here?
Hey, Jim, I have a separate question. It does pertain to this, but if you're willing to answer.
Absolutely.
when I met you like 5 years ago, I think we were at a class that Ben was putting on, and I don't know if your commission structure has changed, but do you mind sharing if it hasn't changed or if it has, can you let us know that? Because, something I want everybody to hear is like the preparation, the level, the confidence to help people with the design plan that you and Chastity have put together. What did that used to be, or what is it, if you don't mind sharing? Usually it's negotiable, blah, blah, blah. This goes on YouTube, but.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So we have a 9% commission structure. And it was at that point, right? So at this point, we've acknowledged, right? Competition in the market sets it. But at that time, we were framing a 9% commission structure, and we were in a very heavy buyer's market. And I can explain why the 9% made sense. So with the 9%, so the average list price to sales price during a buyer's market hovers between 90 to 93, 94%, right? So right off the bat, clients were losing 6% because of a weak agent that couldn't negotiate. So let's just use 100,000 for simple math. So for a $100,000 home, they were accepting offers at 94%. Our commission structure was at that point 9%, and we were making 99.86. And so that was 6% of commission. And then from there, they were losing money, right? So I want you to really understand that. So it was 94, and then another of whatever so that was the actual sales price. And then they were losing the money on the commission. So they were down to about 80, another 6, so 94 minus another 6, 88%, right? So they were taking home about 88%. And then you still had closing costs and all that junk, but I'm just going to stop at those two. So they were at 88%. By using us and getting 99.86%, even though they're at 91%, even though we were at 9%, they were taking home 91%. So the simple math was, even paying us more, we were able to net them more because agents would sell our homes. So yeah, we started with the 9%. Right now, we are very, I want to say we're at a 3.05 on the listing side. So we occasionally get a little bit more, but we're kind of hovering. It's just, I will admit, a lot of the people doing the flat fees, it has changed that conversation. But when we actually get to that part, it's pretty easy. But here's where I'm going to go with that. So how much time do we have, Adelina?
You are welcome. People can drop off as they need to. You go until you're finished.
Okay. So I'm going to go to the next. Let me do this, because this is when I talk about it being all the same, about servicing them, the consultation matters as well, because a commission objection is because the seller doesn't have clarity on your value, right? And I can't stress that enough. A commission objection is because the seller does not have clarity on your value. So when we're talking about the consultation phase, your objective is to get the commitment to sell. And when we talked about the clarifying no's, that's where we build rapport and outline so this is the actual consultation map I use when I go on an appointment. And I did email this to you, Adelina. You should have this in your inbox. But this is the consultation form. This is the map that we use on our team as we go through, right? So we highlight the appointments. It's just pretty basic. Hey, we had an appointment at 9 o'clock. It is now 9 o'clock. May I come in? Perfect. Would you like me to remove my shoes? We always pay respect to the host and to the house. If they say remove the shoes, remove the shoes. If they say no, keep them on. But it's a little thing like that that sets us apart from someone else. Hey, fill this out while I look around. It's really, I just give them like a seller's disclosure notice type template. Or if I'm doing that, if I'm not going to do that, then what I'll give them is our MLS has a form that asks them about all the things that input into the house. Like, is your countertops laminate, granite? I may give them that. It's just basically anything to keep them occupied for about 5 minutes while I look at the house. I circle it as a friction point because people may say, oh, I want to give you the tour. And in which case, I don't really care. So I'm not fighting the objection. I know there's a lot of scripts where like, I can do this faster if you're not. I really don't care. So it's a half friction point, but at the end of the day, if you want to show me around, it's your home. Show me around. We sit down, we come back together, we talk about the 3 outcomes. This is important to phrase a certain way. And I know you've heard it, right? So and the way I phrase it is, you understand everything that I've said, and you appreciate us and know our customer service value will get your home sold, and you sign with us, and that would be awesome, right? Because I'm speaking into existence. They understand, they appreciate us, they know our customer service. The why you wouldn't sign with me is there may be something about me you just don't like. And that's the only reason you wouldn't sign with me, right? Because when you look at everything else, we do provide the best marketing. We do provide the best value. We are the amazing education, communication, and customer service focus. Like, we give all of that. So really, the only reason you wouldn't sign with me is that you don't like me. And I'm going to say that out loud because I want you to sit on the other side of the table and tell me you don't like me. Like, what kind of monster would do that? You know, that's horrible. So that's the only reason. Or we decline, right? And you guys have the script for all that stuff. But I phrase it that way on purpose because I want you to be uncomfortable at having to say, well, remember, the only reason I said you wouldn't sign with us is because you didn't like me. Then we recap their motivation and needs. We explain what a market analysis is, the mapping strategy we use to come up with the home values, and the 555 pricing strategy. When you take all those things into account, and that's why even like when I was on the thing, Adelina, and you gave me the pricing objection, it really threw me off because I don't get them. And the reason is because if I'm getting a pricing conversation at the end, I failed monumentally at explaining the market analysis, right? But let's say we do have them. That it's important to be able to handle those objections. But once we explain it, and then I ask them, what's important to you about the real estate agent that you hire? Is it the marketing? Is it the risk-free guarantee? Is it the community? What is important to you? Whatever you say is important, I'm going to tell you how we fit that need. I may close off. Was there, did you interview any other agents? Was there anything anyone else may have mentioned that they did that I may have forgot to mention? Right? Great. Beautiful. Here's what's next. We're going to agree on a price. We're going to sign some paperwork. We're going to pick a start date. We're going to let marketing and advertising take over, right? We give them the plan. It's sequential. Bam, bam, bam. That's it. That is all there is to it. Servicing the listing. We haven't used this for 2 years, which is awesome, but we're actually starting to we have one that has been on the market for 6 days that we actually have to send a weekly report this week, which is pretty incredible. But this is the purpose, and I really want to bring this up. The objective when you're servicing the listing while the listing is active, I really want you to understand your objective. Getting the home sold it is what it is, right? What you're doing is going to do that. But your objective is to get referrals and 5-star reviews. That is your objective at this phase. If you don't have that in your mentality to be your objective, that's where you fail. Right? This is where you get your referrals and 5-star reviews, is when you're servicing the listing. And you talk all that stuff. And I just kind of say, like, our recommendation is pretty well set. It's, if you look, I don't know if you can read it, but as an example, hey, your price is currently set at $259 or $102 a square foot. We're going to hold an open house this weekend on Saturday from 12 to 3. We're going to keep the current pricing strategy for one more week. In the last 7 days, one home sold. It was at 104 square feet, so a little bit higher than yours. 0 went pending, and 1 came active at 100 a square foot, which is a little less than yours. We're going to discuss the pricing strategy at next week's report if we have to reevaluate. Okay? If we haven't executed an offer, we're going to reduce the price and provide a new net sheet with the bottom line. Right? That's our recommendation. That's our email that goes out as we're servicing the listing. So what happens when I call you next week to talk about reducing the price? I've already told you a week prior. Here's the bottom line when it comes to price reductions, because that will have to happen soon and eventually. You're asking people to give up money. Like, I could call Adelina up today. Great friend. Say, Adelina, I need $100. You know what Adelina's going to ask me? If she asks me one question, she's going to ask me to justify it, right? What do you need it for? Right? If nothing else, why? When we go into price reductions, we literally are like, Mr. Seller, I need you to give up $25,000. Right? And then that's it. Like, we don't give an explanation. We don't provide the why. That's what servicing the listing does. You have to provide the why. If you provide the justification, having that price reduction is a lot easier. But I'm going to say it at the same token too. That's also when we do our CMA and our listing consultation. Setting the right price from the beginning, that's paramount. That's what our goal is. And then the client life cycle. So when you're looking for referrals and 5-star reviews, break it down into phases. You have the introduction to appointment. What are you doing to provide amazing value in that window? You have appointment to agreement, agreement to contract, contract to close to client for life. And you should, at each phase, be providing amazing customer service. You should be doing something that nobody else is doing, or you should be doing something that everybody else is doing, however you want to look at it. But you should be doing amazing things at each phase throughout that process. These are the resources that we use. I look at ACT. If you're reading your book, every book you're reading, if you're not using ACT, you absolutely need to. ACT is action, change, transfer, right? As I'm reading a book, what do I need to do? What actions do I need to take? What am I already doing that I need to change and try something different or transfer? Who would benefit from doing this activity, right? Every book you read should do that. And then, so this is kind of it. This is the cap off of everything. This is what I ask for you as a favor. I do ask for your referrals. Obviously, we service El Paso and Fort Bliss. But what I would love is for you to Google PCS El Paso and leave us a peer review. Jim taught a great class today because as our clients looking, it's important for us, for them to understand, not only are we servicing, clients, but other realtors in our industry admire and respect us as well. So if you guys could just Google PCS El Paso, it'll come up as Chastity, which actually probably how I should have had you introduce me is Chastity's husband, because more people know me that way. But Google PCS El Paso, leave a peer review. Jim taught an amazing class this morning. I mean, I loved it. Super knowledgeable. I would trust him with my own real estate. Beautiful stuff like that. All right, that is, let me stop sharing.
I love that, Jim. Would you just give me your phone number one more time? I know it's just on the slide, but for everyone who's driving or anything like that, they can pop in to their cell phone so that they can save you as El Paso. That's all they need to know. They don't even have to remember your name, just El Paso. What's your number?
915-240-5558. And I did put it in the chat as well.
Oh, you're amazing. You're amazing. So guys, I know I'm getting blown up by texts from you guys. I know this is one you're going to want to re-listen to. The process is one of our virtual professionals pops this up into the Texas playlist. And you just go there by noon, it's going to be in there. I would definitely master, Jim, I didn't realize it was a 3-parter because each part could have its own section.
So normally it's like almost a 2-hour class.
Yeah, I can see why. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'd love to have you back for part 2 and 3 perhaps. Because wow. It's really, really good. Really, if you have specific questions, I can't think of a guy who is better at this right now than Jim. Just text them and just, hey, here's the situation. What's your coaching on it? And I bet you if he doesn't have time today, he might have time tomorrow or next week. Jim's a really, really good guy. I mean, I feel like I've known you guys now for, 5-6 years at least. And he's the same guy that he was 5-6 years ago. He's a good guy, really good guy. Send him your referrals and definitely please leave them a review. It's actually very brilliant the way you said that. I love that. Okay. So it is 9:30 and I've kept you forever. Brandon, do you have something real quick?
Yeah, just a thank you to Jim. I know sometimes we struggle as fiduciaries and agents on where we can drive decision-making with our client's agency, right? But it sounds like everything through and through you said, you have a system, you have the confidence to come from service, and it's a big difference. I mean, there's people like Jim out there that we're competing with in our market, right? Luckily, we're all together in this, but you can really drive and help your clients make these big decisions. But what I heard the whole time was preparation, let the data do the talking, and then show up like a winner that wants to help somebody. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Right on. I think, the barrier to entry in real estate is not enormously high. And then you add in the fact that, oh man, we are here to have a flexible career, right? And then you add in, we're entrepreneurs, and all of a sudden, man, what happens is the professionalism level goes down. Not anybody on this call, but maybe some of your friends that are in real estate, or maybe if you're in a funk, right? And we underestimate how important professionalism is, and showing up like a professional. And a professional, like if I'm going to have surgery tomorrow, my surgeon better have his shit together, right? And why would we expect any less of ourselves? And when you have the confidence that you have your shit together, because you're prepared, because you know what you're talking about, like those calls sound a lot different. So man, appreciate you so much, Jim. We will definitely see you next time for sure. Next week, you guys, we are learning about Sarissa. I know many of you know her. Can't wait for you to really get to know her, where she came from, how she built her business, the lessons along the way. We'll see you next Thursday. And hopefully we'll see a bunch of you guys down in for Mega Camp if you're coming. If not, the digital version will be really great. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you.